It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on Nigerian newspapers. In-house analyst Obaniyi Akinwale and Kehinde Nwandu, chartered mediator and conciliator.
Bam. Bam. Bam.
Here, gentlemen, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Jerry. Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday,
Yes, so
and congratulations. We
do
can't call you anyhow now.
Do mention.
All right, let's head straight to the papers now, and I begin with The Guardian. International Day of Persons with Disabilities. 31 million people living with disabilities suffer as 23 states neglect disability rights. MDA is yet to implement Buhari's directive 3 years after disability law passage. Government, private sector charged to promote disability inclusion. To the national economy now, contraband on the menu, why 70% tariffs haven't slowed Nigeria's rise. Imports. Details on the pages of the national economy. To the Vanguard, AMCON, Senate Aviation Ministry at war over new national carrier. Ministry frustrating takeoff of Nigeria's Eagle airline by AMCON, Senate speaking there. To this Nigerian newspaper, NSAS white paper panel faults Lagos, says government's evading responsibility, blames computer error on duplication of names on lists of casualties. All the details on the pages of this Nigerian newspaper. To the Nigerian Tribune, bandits attacks, 10 students killed, 780 abducted, 61 in captivity. Amnesty International speaking there. Escalating attacks targeting children, endanger rights to education. All right, you find the details on the pages of the Nigerian Tribune. To the Daily Trust, the Omicron crude oil drops below $70 as travel ban threatens recovery. All right, to the Punch newspaper, Omicron states resume testing, demand funds, variant spreads to 23 countries, vaccine hesitancy, funding of molecular labs, major challenges, Cross River speaking, low vaccination drive in Nigeria's rural areas, fueling transmission, says WHO. To the Business Day now, Nigeria's COVID cases ignore spike across sub-Saharan Africa. And on the Daily Times, Nigeria security trauma will be over soon. Oshibaju speaking there says breakup not solution to nation's problems. Excuse me. To News Direct now, only 10% of 350,000 police workforce enjoy suitable accommodation. Inspector General of Police speaking. 7 in Nigeria's Nigerian force equals living in penury. A police officer speaking there. To the Daily Sun, U.S. monitoring developments in Nigeria. Ambassador urges media to do more for better country. Falana impunity, anti-people policies, bane of democracy. You find all the details on the pages of the Daily Sun. To the Blueprint, ex-deputy speaker Lasun opens up. APC didn't win Osun 2018 Guba elections. And to the Daily Independent, 2023 presidential election, choosing PDP candidates will be turbulent. Governor Wike speaking there. All right, to the Leadership newspaper now, 16 days to go. Lawmakers ready to override President Muhammadu Buhari's veto on electoral bill. And finally, on the Nation newspaper, pressure on Buhari to reject electoral amendment bill. INEC here to act on Buhari's request. Governors insist on indirect primary. December 19 deadline for president to sign. CSU's assent would aid electoral reforms. All right, gentlemen, let's begin with this story on the front page of the Nation newspaper, talking about pressure on the president to reject electoral amendment bill. INEC is yet to act on President Buhari's request, and governors are insisting on indirect primary, even though the House of Reps is saying that direct primaries is the way to go. We have seen divergent reactions, and there are those who believe that because the president also benefited rather from the direct primaries, perhaps he would toe the line of direct primaries. And there are those who are now putting pressure on the president to, reject this electoral amendment. I wonder where you see the pendulum swinging as we are heading towards the December 19 deadline.
Let me start by saying that if democracy is not truncated by the illegal, or not illegal, let me say, a body that is not known to the Constitution called Nigerian Governors Forum, is likely to be truncated by the social media. And I said those two categories are becoming endemic to our democratic tenets in this country. What is the problem with the direct primary? What is the problem with the indirect primary? Who is supposed to determine whether it's supposed to be direct or indirect? When you are being elected to political offices, are you going through indirect to be voted into those offices? The money that you are claiming that will be wasted and what have you, the one that has been given to you to do various projects in your state, what has it been used to do? Some of the states are unable to pay workers' salaries. Some of the road states are unable to tie 10-kilometer roads. Then you ask yourself, I remember vividly, during one of the primaries in one of the states in the southwest, a particular governor then said he already whereas about 26 billion to use for the delegate during the election. We all know what transpired during the PDP primary in Port Harcourt, during Atiku Abubakar Saraki and co. We know what happened during APC primaries. So it is obvious that whoever has the deepest pocket or whoever possibly controls the party structure at the state level is likely to make use of the indirect primary. And the direct or indirect primary is a test of popularity. And leave it to INEC to say, for the first instance they said, INEC cannot do electronic transmission. They've shown us with Beavers in Anambra that they have tendency to do what is possible. So at what point do governors need to reprobate to approbate when they are not electoral commission? What is their concern about whether INEC has enough staff to do this job or not? Why don't you allow the masses to choose whoever is going to leave them? Say, for example, what the party is saying, for example, now is that if I want to become councillor in a Kosisheri local government, I will need youth or party members in this area to line up and say this is what they want. Let's remember the period of option A4. We all claim that 1993 election is one of the fairest and the cleanest election we have in this country. What made that election clear is that if you line up behind SDP, you can't jump the queue to go to NRC. So what is all these graphs about direct or indirect primary? And you hear what Governor Wike said. He said the president may not have the gut to sign the law because these governors are turning themselves to another thing entirely. So I don't see any reason why anybody should be afraid. If you are popular within your domain, if you are popular within your domain, then go and test your popularity among your party members.
CKN, what do you think these governors are afraid of, that they're putting so much pressure on the president?
Well, first and foremost, let me say that the passage of that bill into law by the National Assembly is sacrosanct, as far as I'm concerned. It is, because...
Remind him who he is.
It is why I say that is that, let's be, just like my brother has said, it's the National Assembly that has been given the constitutional right to do what they have done. And that is basic. It's not negotiable. Okay? If a governor wants to be part of lawmaking, then he should resign as a governor and just contest and pick. So many of them, they were former governors, are in the National Assembly. I'm sure you are aware of that.
Yes.
Most of them are in the Senate. So they were once governors. And most of them, and when they finish their term in 2020, they are going to the Senate. They are going there.
That's the retirement plan.
That is their retirement, place of retirement. So what I'm saying in essence, there is no need for all this. Basically, the National Assembly have done the needful, what they think. We are the people that elected the National Assembly members. The House of Representatives, 360, 109, and the Senate. What we need to do is now to make sure that we move on. And why is it that is that particular clause that they're fighting? Why? That particular clause.
That's the question I asked you.
The fact is because of their selfish. Let me tell you, the essence is that once that power is taken, once that is passed, their so-called monopolistic power is taken away from them.
Really?
Yes, it has, because let me tell you something. Most of those senators, House of Representative members, are very popular within their locality. the governor cannot determine at times what happened in that locality. Most of them, let's give a classical example. There's a very fantastic senator called Eshe Osani, very popular within his domain. But because of the problem he had with the governor of Kaduna State, the governor stopped him, prevented him from getting that ticket back.
It was the governor that stopped it?
It was the governor.
Also, it was very obvious.
Are you not aware? They asked me. The governor, you understand what I mean? That is how powerful. Those governors are very powerful. And it's not from now on. It started from 1999. Don't forget what happened between Atiku and Obasanjo during the second term.
Yes.
Where the president, where Atiku practically held the governors to himself. And the president then, Obasanjo, practically was not going to have a second term. That he had to go to Atiku from what we had, quote and unquote, to lie down, to beg and the rest of them before Atiku could lie. And that was why he dealt with Atiku during his second term. So the governors have made themselves lords of themselves. So they believe that if this direct primary issue is allowed to go, they will lose most of their constituents, they will lose most of the powers they have and the rest of them. What they normally do is that once it gets to the direct primary, don't forget that most of the delegates for the direct indirect primaries are government appointed appointees. Most of them are government appointees. They are their aides, they are their commissioners, and the rest of them. So they can easily, a governor will just call everybody to the room and say, this is the way we are going, and everybody falls in line. But it will be very difficult for you to go from every word, every single word.
You think so?
It is. You think. I'm telling you why I'm saying. Let me say why I say it
right.
is. Yes. Most of those, as I'm saying, what is? But let's just put this: the senators and House of Representatives members are also fighting for their own. They're also fighting for their, because they know
everybody is fighting for their interest.
Yeah, it is, yes, personal interest. That is also. But look at it also. How many of them return to the Senate at the end of every tenure? You see that close to up to 60-70% of them don't return because they have issues with their government. So it is a win-win situation for me. I still believe that the president himself has been a beneficiary of this direct primary.
Yes.
And I see no reason why this should not go. We should allow this. Nigeria should be free. All the members of the party should be free to elect whoever they think they will represent, and not just somebody that just called himself the chief executive of a state will just wake up one day and pick who will become a senator, who will become a House of Representatives member, who will become a member of State House of Assembly, who to the extent even councillors in the local government, the governors handpicks them, and that is not democracy. That is what democracy is all about, and that is what this is all about.
Another thing you also need to look at is during any state congress or any primary election for any party, once you are voting as a delegate, you know you have automatically become a millionaire.
Yes, now.
So you find out that
inducing them.
It is standard.
Is it not possible to also induce people who will come for the direct primary?
How do we induce all about 22 million people?
How? Is it not possible?
It is not.
It's not.
And I'll tell you why it's not possible. Is this?
If
you look at PDP convention in Abuja,
right.
you see the luxurious buses. The potential candidate for presidency were lodging people. You see different lunch people are giving people different gallery and what have you. Remember when Governor Akinwale was to become the governor of Lagos State, he won the primary with about 2,000 plus delegates. If Lagos State or Ogun State had allowed direct primary, you will not have a Sanwo-Olu today. Write it down. If Ogun State people have not insisted that they want to use indirect primary, Abiodun will not be there today. So I begin to wonder why maybe this governor forgets so soon. How even some of them get to power. And you discover that the power, like he mentioned, most of the governors are so powerful to the extent that they determine who becomes the councillor in the world.
Councillor.
And most time, look at what happened between Lagos for Lagos and the APC people, that Lagos for Lagos guys have to move to PDP to go and contest for councillorship election and come back to the party after they have won the election. So if you have a structure whereby party members, even it will ensure that we're able to put the proper footings for party system. APC will be able to know
I was going.
Who are the party members.
It is a reflection of the fact that most of the parties do not have the proper structure.
Exactly, because what you find out is that, for example now, who are the party members in the Kosisheri? Who verifies their location? Who verifies their identity? Who even determines who becomes the delegate? How do you verify that all the party members in this local government voted for who becomes the delegate for this local government? Somebody somewhere just wake up one day and said, you are going to be the delegate to vote in this state election. And that is it. But wherever you know that they will know that the party member will determine what happens. the party structures will be properly funded. The party structure at local government will be very, very strong. I remember those of SDP and RC. Babangida, you may not like him. The structure they put in place for SDP and RC in all the local governments in Nigeria still stands. So you find out that you'll be able to know who are your party chairmen, who are your party members. You can clearly separate between SDP and NRC in non-local government. Even when Abacha took over and you have UNCP, DPN, and what GDM and what have you, you can clearly know who is who in those parties. But what do you have now? During the ADACN, they just sit down and say, Olufala, go and contest. Without even looking at what other members are saying. And that's exactly what you are a member of Action Group before, go and be governor of Osun State. You are a member of this of NRC, when we were doing, go and be governor of Kogi State. And that is what they were doing to select who becomes who in all party structures. But if you enlabel, it's called activating the citizenship.
Sanitizing the party structure.
Allow it to fly. And even, the question is that, I've always said it, law is never a problem in this country. It is those that will implement it and those that will play by the law. See, these governors that are shouting that they don't want primary, let them be signed to the law. You will discover that the register for all party members, the governors will ensure that they are the ones that hold the party. And if you decide that, okay, a Niyi in Ikosisheri is not a very good party member, they will delete the registration number.
So they still have access to do whatever it is they want to do. At the end of the day, are we achieving what we want to achieve?
They will say, oh, this person is not a party member.
Let me tell you. We have to be very careful.
Excuse me.
We have to be very, very careful the way we are going. The governors have practically taken over the parties.
The country.
Look at it. I'm dealing with the parties
Party
now.
first,
Look at APC as it is presently. The acting national chairman of APC is a governor. Does that make sense? It doesn't. Does it mean we don't have other people? He has been acting for over 1 year, going. And they've been postponing and postponing. What it means that they've practically taken over the structure of the party from even the founding fathers. And they now dictate what happens there. A situation where a governor is both governor, he holds an executive position as a governor in the state, and also having an executive position in the federal as the national chairman of the party. And you remember what happened? What the judgment of the Supreme Court as concerns Ondo State, where it was said that the part of the minority judgment was that if the parties in the two have added the acting national chairman in that suit, that there is possibility that he would have lost this thing. And some of their party members, so many of them, even some people like Festo Kiyama, be saying that what is happening is not the right thing.
It's an aberration.
It's aberration. It's not saying that even our party constitution, but what happens now? They have taken over the party. They also want to now take over how various people can find themselves into. So I think that the president should be very careful. The APC, for instance, should be very, very careful in 2023. I've said it time with a number. President Muhammadu Buhari is not going to be in the ballot in 2023.
Right.
The rallying point for APC has always been Buhari. He has a bulk vote that any given point, even when he was in CPC, whether Buhari is contesting, what Buhari is contesting, you are sure that he will get about 10 million votes or whatever from the north. Buhari is not going to be in that ballot in 2023. So it is going to be an open race between PDP and APC. And the earlier the APC get their house together, and for goodness sake, it was a bipartisan passage. Those that passed the law were not members of APC alone. PDP members were there, ABGA members were there, and members of other political parties. So it's not just about a political party. If you understand what I'm trying to say. So I don't know why one particular party is so more very that president don't sign this and don't sign this. Even, sir, but we have to be very, very careful.
If I may add this too,
right?
Even like you mentioned for APC, like I said, we only have two boss in Nigeria. So it depends on where you are going. Either APC or PDP, they have same. You remember even the current elected party chairman of PDP, the governor of Benue was asked to mediate between the two boys who are ex-senators in Benue State, Ayu and David Mark. And they called governors to come and meet them in Governor Benue's house to determine what happens. Look at the deputy national chairman. He was the vice chairman of APC Southwest from Oyo State. Governor Seyi Makinde still removed him as vice chairman of APC Southwest and took him to go and contest again as the deputy national chairman of the party for the South. So it shows clearly, Governor Wike yesterday was saying that he will not allow anybody that wants to carry a toga of presidential aspirant to win the ticket of PDP. Just to tell you how powerful the governor think they are, either in APC or in PDP. You will see the chairman of the convention committee of PDP is the governor of Adamawa State. Look at the two political systems we have in Nigeria. Every structure that you have to have where power resides, it's always a governor that will determine what happens. When the National Assembly issue was happening between the Chinda and what have you, it was a governor versus governor. You remember what happened between Governor of Bayelsa, Seriake Dixon, and Governor Wike? You know when they made Ndi Elumelu the minority leader, you know what the Delta governor and Governor Wike had. So you see that the governor has constituted themselves to another government entirely in the system. And if care is not taken, like I said, they will be toiling with democracy that we are all fought for, and they should allow the law to take its course. What is the issue with direct or indirect primary? You are saying that I keep asking the question. They are killing every day in Borno State. How we get the electoral vote from there? They are killing in Kaduna State. How we get the electoral vote from there? Anambra was like nothing will happen there during that election. Election happened there. Are they indirect election where the governor voted into the office through indirect ways? What are they afraid of? And it is I think it's going to be the first time whereby money banks will not have it all, because we know our primary election in these countries are always dependent on who has the deepest pocket. Right. Now it is the first time that if you allow this to happen, I wonder how a party member will bribe over so to say, he said they have about 22 million or 30 million registered party members. How do you intend to bribe those 30 million? Or PDP, how you intend to bribe maybe 15 or 50 million party members in Nigeria? So everybody go back to your local government, to your ward, to your unit, to ensure that you canvass for vote, and whatever happens on the field, you go there. That's the popularity over there. All these, we don't want Buhari to sign, Buhari to not sign. And I love what the National Assembly has done. Whereas Buhari has to December 19 to make his mind up. If he's going to reject, send it back to us. If you refuse to say anything by 19, they have the power to bring it back and sign it, and it becomes a law, which makes it very easy. Before now, we still wait endlessly. I said, okay, the president has not signed, is in the dustbin of history. This time around, we all wait before December 19 and see where the pendulum will swing. Absolutely. And that's a fine place to leave the conversation, gentlemen. In-house analyst Obaniyi Akinwale, chartered mediator and conciliator. But he's not meditating this morning. Come to my court. Anyway, we have some few minutes. Maybe your final word, Chris, before we go. No,
I just have to say this. We have several challenges before us. The level of insecurity in the land is becoming so terrible. We're having killings here and there in every part of the country, and we are not getting out of it. The economy is practically dying. Nigerians don't have food to eat. There is no money in their pocket. This is Christmas. Most people cannot afford to buy chicken. What happened? They've stole the jingle bell has been stolen. You can't even you cannot hear the jingle. Talk less of the bell. So what the problem? We have serious problem facing us, and these people were elected to improve our life. Instead, they have impoverished it. So instead of them fighting for their selfish interests, because whatever is happening is their selfish interest, they are not fighting for the masses. It's for their own personal interest. That is what they are fighting for. I believe that this is time to show leadership. This is time for them to show complete leadership and governance, so that come to it, most of them have just 2 years to go. They've been there for 6 years and they have nothing to show for it. Everything concerning Nigeria and Nigerians is becoming so terrible for Nigerians that I doubt whether the governors, they even know what is going on. So this is not the time for us to be talking about direct or indirect. Those are just very flimsy stuff. Let us govern well. There was a music by African China. I remember that music by a governor, govern well. So please let them go back and face the reality and test the coffee Nigerians are suffering. Direct or indirect is not our problem. The president should do the needful. And the president doesn't do the needful, the National Assembly should just do what they're supposed to do. A friend of mine told me a few days ago, he said the problem with Santa Claus not coming is because of COVID restriction. So the visa to Nigeria is already delayed. So people should not expect Santa this year. Santa no seafood. There's COVID restriction. Remember in those days, the way we used to go to those ghettos and if you go there now, see what Santa is giving, you run away. Santa is locked down. Santa is even hungry. It's locked down. So I have nothing to give you. Oh God, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. In-house analyst Obaniyi Akinwale and chartered mediator and conciliator Kehinde Nwandu. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for having me, and do have a nice weekend. And you too.